This week, the team are in Vegas making faces for cash, hacking for cash, and free cash.
Vegas, home to casinos.
Elvis, sort of.
Super fast knot tying. Wide open spaces. Limos. The Strip. And this week, the largest hackfest on the planet.
If there's 1 week of stuff in Vegas that isn't staying in Vegas, it's this week's B-Sides, Black Hat and notorious DEF CON gatherings.
This is the week where hackers rub up against law enforcers and everyone peeks over each other's shoulders and networks. So let's get straight into the action. And for our first hack of the show, Daniel here has got an extra piece of software running, allowing him to hear what's being typed on the other end of a Skype call. So how does it work?
Our Skype and type software during a Skype call learns how your keyboard sounds like, and if you later during the call type something sensitive like password or email, we can understand what you typed using machine learning algorithms. And this is because each key has a unique fingerprint based on the position of the key on the keyboard.
The suggested results from what our victim might be typing are listed on the screen. As you can see, it's spotted every word except one, but when asked to choose the words to make the most likely sentence, it's not so on the money.
So this is Scott Helm. He is not just our victim, he's also a security researcher who's here to keep Click on track with a hacker's view of the conferences for the next couple of episodes. Hello, Scott.
Hello.
What do you think?
So the technology is still quite young. It did take a little bit of setup to make this work, but technology advances quite quickly, and things that are difficult today will probably be easy tomorrow. And we have seen similar things like this before as well. I looked at an attack recently where they could measure the vibrations in a crisp packet to record my voice. So I think in the future, things and technologies like this could be quite bad, because it's going to allow people to extract a lot more information from our devices.
Wow, sobering thoughts. It seems like the hackers are always going to find new and interesting ways to get inside our computers. And of course, the weapon of choice so far this year has been ransomware, in part because it's so easy to set up. Here's Spencer with more.
I kind of assumed that getting hold of a piece of ransomware wouldn't be as easy as searching for it on Google and then just downloading it. This man has just informed me that I'm wrong.
So here's one that's very popular. This one. If I type it into Google, then we can just download it straight away. So this is the code. This is free.
That's it. You don't have to go onto the darknet or anything to get hold of this.
But no, this is the easy way.
Okay, right.
So the code is actually really tiny. It's less than 200 lines of code, and that's for a full piece of ransomware.
I could then change some of that code to specify how much money the malware asks for and the Bitcoin address it needs to be delivered to. And sure enough, the program turns all of our sample documents into illegible garbage, which can now only be retrieved if the creators, in this case us, provide the unlock code. Okay, well, I'm slightly depressed at how easy it was to find some ransomware to just unleash onto the world.
It's going to get easier in a minute.
Oh, good, right. Next, we hop onto a site that will connect me with people who will set up and run ransomware for me.
So this guy here, he will charge you $125. So these guys, they'll give you lots of customer support. They also offer you some advice on how to deliver it to people.
It's a full-on service, this.
Yeah, and you can, via your phone, you can talk to this guy over Telegram, or there's an instant messenger chat as well. And if you're too lazy to send this to people to get them to infect it, there's another guy who, for a cut, will then email this to your victims as well. So,
are you a criminal but you're too lazy to do any work? Don't worry, we'll do it for you.
There are some video adverts like that as well.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Surely you can engage this person in chat and then go get them. Go arrest them.
these people are quite hard to find. They use software to make sure you can't find where on the internet they are.
It just depresses me so much though, doesn't it? Doesn't it you? I'm going to unplug the internet. I'm leaving.
Actually, before you do, Spen, there is hope. There are professionals looking out for us, and Lara has been to meet the good guys who are at the top of their game.
WannaCry was a wake-up call. One report suggests that 1 in 6 businesses in Europe and the US were affected, some of them, of course, providing critical care. I'm in Newport, Wales at Airbus Cyber Security. Yes, it's probably not the first thing that you would associate with the company name, but here some top-tier network monitoring is taking place. Their clients include the Ministry of Defence as well as large airports and power companies, plus many others who can't be named.
WannaCry was quite unique by way of ransomware in that once it infected a single host, it actually wanted to go out and look for other hosts that are similar to it within its own network. That's why it spread not just within the NHS but globally across many other companies and many other individuals as well.
But how about an attack that exploits a vulnerability we've never heard about before? A zero-day attack?
Typically, the scramble around that is actually obtaining some code and then almost putting it in a sandbox.
A sandbox being a place to isolate the issue so it can be played with, understood and tackled. Large organisations may employ companies like Airbus to keep the water flowing and the lights on, but what advice would they give to us as individuals?
Well, we use cyber threat indicators on our network, and this is something that's freely available to general users. So if you are more tech savvy, you can utilise this threat intelligence to explain more about current malware threats and trends, and understand if you are susceptible to this malware and if you're vulnerable or running a vulnerable version of a particular software. So that information is out there, and I would encourage everyone to use it.
But what does all this mean for the future? Does cybersecurity get better at the rate hackers do?
There's always an arms race. We get better and they will follow, and it just moves further and further into complex areas. But rest assured, we're working very hard to keep on top of those.
So the advice on how to avoid a cyber attack may not have changed in years. Make sure you always do your software updates, back everything up and generally be sensible online. But WannaCry may just have frightened more of us into taking action.
Lara Lewington battling the bad guys, which is exactly what this conference, Black Hat, is all about. The corporate side of the cybersecurity conferences here in Las Vegas. But what happens when you've caught a cyber criminal? What if it's a first-time hacker who probably didn't even realise they were breaking the law? Well, Dan has been to the UK's first ever rehab for hackers.
It was me and 2 other friends who were just a bit of fun.
I manipulate people's feelings, thoughts. I started getting bullied.
We tried to break into our school's network. We could control people's screens, change passwords.
I got arrested for Misuse of Computer Act 1990, Section 3. I can't name the company, but they lost a lot of money.
This is definitely a way to get ahead of the curve and to stop anyone from possibly taking a misinformed choice as to the direction of their life.
This is the UK's first reboot camp for hackers. The first 7 through the doors are aged 16 to 20. They all intend to change their ways, so we've agreed to keep their identities secret. Rehab includes spotting moments when they might be tempted to cross the line of what's legal and what's not.
God, that looks tasty. That looks like I could get everyone's details. Your parents will not have any idea how you do what you do. It will be like magic.
Solomon Gilbert was caught as a teenage offender. Now he's the one giving the lectures in between tackling cybercrime himself.
I was 17 years old, so I was getting drawn into making my own malicious code, making my own exploits, stealing things like credit card information, database information. I wouldn't do anything with them. It ended up with me getting getting kicked out of school and arrested and looked into by the Counter-Terrorism Intelligence Unit.
What were the key moments that changed your path?
Everyone in the cybersecurity industry has one person that they've met and has gone, well, you're very talented at this, let's move you to do it as a job.
Cybersecurity Challenge UK has set up a Capture the Flag competition so the teenagers can show off their skills, and several large companies are here to talk future job opportunities.
The UK hasn't got enough people to protect itself. You know, businesses, the nation, businesses, individual accounts, we all need protecting. And that's why we exist. We need to find these people. They're there. You know, we know they're there. We need to find them.
These offenders know this is a second chance, one they say they didn't realise they were so well qualified for.
I was more interested into the dark side back when I was young. I wasn't really looking at the good side. The dark side was mainly just attacks, and nothing about defending.
Well, now I know that it exists, it sounds like something that I'd really, really like to go into, because you get the same rush, you get the same excitement, but you're doing it for fun still, but it's legal and you get paid, so it's like every kind of benefit.
Did you know you can get money out of an ATM even if you don't have a card or a PIN? What you'll need instead is a drill, a USB keyboard, some malware on a USB stick, and an intention to break the law.
So in this specific example that we've got set up here, so an attacker has come to the front of the ATM, they've drilled a hole in the front, and what we can do now is, you can see we can access this USB cable.
Right, so inside here, there's something that has a USB port. What's inside here?
This is just a normal computer.
According to Positive Technologies research, more than half of ATMs still run Windows XP. And although the USB port will rarely be this easy to access inside the ATM, recent cash machine hacks in Taiwan and Thailand show that it can be done. I'm sure not many people would expect this to just be a normal Windows XP machine.
Perhaps not, but it's just a safe with a computer on top.
Which means that with a keyboard plugged in, it's pretty simple to download and run malware to, well, show me the money. Actual money.
Actual real money.
Your malicious software basically says dispense cash.
Exactly.
Okay. Shouldn't the ATMs be slightly more protected and locked down?
You would think that, but it's how you would configure those computers, but we found that they're not particularly secure. So you could put malware on this system that could collect data from cards as well. So that would be information that's held on our cards. So if I, as a consumer, if I'm using this machine, it could collect my card data, and that could spread around the whole network of ATMs.
So you can use one ATM to infect a whole network of ATMs?
That's correct, yeah.
One way to protect yourself is to use ATMs inside bank branches, or which are watched over by security cameras. We spoke to NCR, one of the leading manufacturers and the maker of the ATM that we hacked. They agree that security threats are becoming more complex and sophisticated, and told us NCR provides its customers with comprehensive recommendations and security defences to address these challenges and help them to assess and improve their security infrastructure.
Welcome to the Week in Tech. It was the week that Google unveiled its SOS Alerts feature, which will show where a crisis is taking place. Adobe announced plans to kill off Flash Player from 2020, and a company in Wisconsin are microchipping their employees. And the Boring Company is firmly going against its name as Elon Musk posted a video to Instagram of a car going underground on an elevator in Los Angeles. The Tesla CEO's side project proposes building a network of tunnels under the city, which will drag cars, passengers and cargo in super fast moving sleds. And it was a busy week for Musk as he clashed with Mark Zuckerberg over their views on AI. During an informal Facebook Live, Mark Zuckerberg said Musk's claims that AI poses a fundamental risk to human civilization were irresponsible. But Musk took to Twitter to respond, writing, "Zuckerberg's knowledge of the issue is limited. Touché." First it was gone, and then it wasn't, as Microsoft put to bed reports that it was getting rid of its graphics program Paint. People rushed to social media to show their love for the program, which won't remain on Microsoft 10 by default in the future, but will be available on the Windows Store for free. Yes, I'm taking commissions. And now you can live out your pop dreams in AR. Not shying away, a Chicago-based studio have recreated the classic Aha Take On Me video using the iOS 11's AR kit.
Recently, there seems to have been an increase in the number of brute force password attacks. This is where the hacker uses a program to constantly try new passwords until they hit the jackpot. In the past, security services have recommended creating as long and complex passwords as possible, never writing them down and changing them often. However, we're only human, and we don't have the time or the patience to remember multiple strings of letters and digits. To combat this, the National Cybersecurity Centre has updated its password guidelines. Firstly, don't change your password constantly, because this encourages us to use simpler passwords and maybe just add a different number on the end. And besides, it only protects you from someone who steals your password and then waits 3 months to use it. You should, however, update your password if you have any reason to suspect a breach. Keep your passwords complex, but not too complex. For example, 3 random words stuck together. Now, this means instead of trying every one of the 200,000 or so words in the English dictionary, hackers have to try every combination of every word, and that is a massively harder task. Set up 2-step authentication for any accounts that you particularly care about. This means the hacker needs to not only have your password, but also your phone to break in. And store your passwords, either on a piece of paper in a safe place or by using a password manager. Now, this is either hardware or software that generates and stores long, complex passwords for your different accounts.
How could we remember 20 or 30 passwords that we frequently use that are highly secure? With a solution like LastPass, it'll create a 100-character password for every site that is really, really hard to hack, and then layer encryption across it. While security is a really daunting subject and the stakes are high and it can appear quite onerous, these solutions are really easy to adopt.
All you have to remember is one master password, and the manager does the rest. Just make sure that password is really hard.
Humans have been using handprints to identify themselves for a very long time.
These ones here, the hands across time, just outside Las Vegas in Red Rock, are hundreds of years old. They're some of the earliest examples of Native Americans showing their identity, kind of like a signature.
In recent years, we've started to use our hands to identify us again, and Dan's been finding out how secure they might be.
At Bristol Robotics Lab, they're taking an interest in every detail. Now, if you're sensitive to flashing lights, look away now. And is that more secure then than just using a fingerprint?
Certainly, with a fingerprint is a small region of the hand. Obviously, with this system, we're getting the whole surface, and that combined with the vein structure just adds an extra layer of security.
Do you think this could be spoofed?
I think it's unlikely. Research recently showed the ability to extract fingerprints or handprints off celebrities from a distance, from photos, and so you could use that to generate a 3D surface, but you still wouldn't have the vein structure on the back of the hand. That would be very difficult to hack.
In Chicago, some people are already using their palm to pay for things. It's being called naked payment. No cards, cash, or phones. Palm Secure's touchless readers only use infrared lights to take a photo of your veins. Iris scanners are also about to emerge from the lab and be used in the real world. From September, TSB will be the first bank in Europe to adopt retina scan technology as a way of accessing online bank accounts. Though initially customers will need a Samsung Galaxy S8 handset to use the technology. But is it secure? In May, the Chaos Computer Club in Germany posted this video, fooling the S8's iris scanner using a photograph and a contact lens. TSB and Samsung are hoping others won't go to that sort of trouble. At the Scilab Biometrics Center in Pittsburgh, they've developed a system that can identify the irises of people moving in a crowd from up to 12 meters away. But if the eyes don't have it, the face just might. Back at Bristol Robotics Lab, this 3D face scanner is using a technique they've developed called photometric stereo. Two invisible lights flash at high speed, allowing the camera to capture the orientation, shape, and texture of what it sees. So far, it has a 95% accuracy rate, but that's good enough to attract some major investment. They're working with Cubic, which developed the Oyster Card, the contactless payment system used on London's trains and buses. It's being part-funded by the British government to innovate gateless technologies, allowing passengers to simply walk into a station and on to a train.
You can imagine that, if you can get rid of the gate lines in a place like Victoria Station, there's a massive potential for increasing throughput. So we ran quite an interesting project for them, which they're now installing at their laboratory in Salfords, and the aim is to move it onto the underground so that the system will recognise people and you can get rid of the gate and it will allow people to go through without any impediments.
Now this is a phototype, but we have been told that the system will recognise me through even a pair of glasses. So let's see if it knows who I am now. And look at that, you can see my name come up right there.
It could make your life so easy. You could just walk around and the face is the key to getting everything you want to do in the modern world.
And just to double check, I'll try and fool it with this guy.
Oh, look at that. It recognises me, but this is very clearly an imposter.
Well, this face clearly isn't going to get me anywhere.
Dan Simmons being shredded. Sorry, Dan. So that's it for another week. Of course, we'll be back with more next week from Vegas, including Scott's Hacker's Guide to DEF CON. Until next week then.